The currency no one could see. It moved without sound, without shape, and without a single physical trace. No coin marked its value. No vault held its weight. Yet this currency decided who advanced, who waited, and who disappeared from the market entirely. It was not money. It was confidence. London had always traded intangible things: gold, goods, property. But as finance evolved, another force began circulating beneath the surface. Deals closed not because cash was present, but because belief was. Credit flowed on expectation. Access depended on perceived reliability. Confidence became spendable. It could open doors that capital alone could not, and its absence could close doors that no amount of wealth could reopen. To understand why this mattered, we must return to a moment when reputation began outperforming capital. Merchants with modest assets secured vast opportunities because others trusted them. Meanwhile, wealthy actors found themselves blocked, not by lack of funds, but by doubt. Value was shifting away from possession and toward perception. The reveal emerged when confidence started behaving like currency. It accumulated. It depreciated. It could be lent, borrowed, and abruptly withdrawn. A single failed obligation could drain it instantly. A well-timed success could multiply it. Markets reacted to confidence faster than the facts. It flowed through handshakes, glances, and introductions with a velocity that no physical asset could match. The speed of this reaction was itself a revelation, because it demonstrated that financial systems respond to belief before they respond to evidence, and that the gap between the two creates both opportunity and danger. Intermediaries learned to trade it. They vouched for some participants while quietly distancing from others. Their endorsements opened doors. Their silence closed them. Confidence moved through networks invisible to balance sheets, yet more decisive than any ledger entry. These intermediaries became the unofficial central bankers of belief, controlling the supply of an asset that had no physical form, no regulatory framework, and no mechanism for audit. Their power was enormous precisely because it was unrecognized, operating in a space that formal governance had not yet learned to see. London had created a currency it could not print, regulate, or fully track. And once confidence became tradable, the city would have to face what happens when belief itself becomes volatile. As confidence began circulating like currency, London's markets reorganized around perception. Deals were offered to those believed to be reliable before terms were even discussed. Credit flowed toward names rather than numbers. The invisible balance of belief determined who moved first and who waited. This new economy rewarded consistency above all else. Participants guarded their reputations with obsessive care. A single misstep could devalue years of trust. Success bred access, and access bred more confidence, creating feedback loops that widened gaps across the city. Those who entered the cycle early accumulated advantages that compounded over time, while those who started behind found the gap, widening regardless of the quality of their work. Those skilled at cultivating belief gained extraordinary leverage. They communicated certainty even amid doubt. They framed setbacks as strategy. Their confidence attracted partners, insulating them from scrutiny. Others, less adept at signaling assurance, struggled despite sound fundamentals. The danger emerged when confidence detached from reality. Belief persisted even as risks accumulated. Markets deferred judgment because doubt felt costly. As long as confidence held, questions were postponed. The invisible currency inflated quietly. No one wanted to be the first to question what everyone else seemed to believe, and this collective reluctance to challenge prevailing sentiment allowed the gap between perception and reality to widen far beyond anything the system was designed to absorb. Tension grew when shocks tested belief. A delayed payment, an unexpected loss. Confidence wavered, then rushed away all at once. The same networks that amplified trust now accelerated collapse. Access vanished. Credit froze. Confidence proved as volatile as fear. London confronted a sobering realization. Confidence cannot be stored safely. It must be continually justified. When treated as currency, it obeys market dynamics, subject to runs, bubbles, and sudden reversals. The city had learned how powerful belief could be. Now it would have to learn how fragile. The crisis arrived when confidence reversed faster than anyone expected. What had taken years to build evaporated in days. A few high-profile failures were enough to change the tone of the entire city. Endorsements vanished. Silence replaced reassurance. The invisible currency began to collapse under its own weight. Markets reacted before facts could stabilize them. Credit was withdrawn preemptively. Partnerships dissolved defensively. Participants scrambled not to understand exposure, but to distance themselves from doubt. Confidence no longer flowed. It fled. The speed of the reversal demonstrated that confidence, unlike capital, has no friction. It moves at the speed of rumor, and once it begins moving in one direction, the mechanisms that might slow it down are themselves made of confidence. Those most dependent on belief suffered first. Firms with strong balance sheets but fragile reputations found themselves isolated. Others, long sustained by perception alone, collapsed outright. The separation between reality and belief snapped violently back together. The conflict intensified as blame spread. Some accused intermediaries of propping up false confidence. Others blamed participants for trusting signals instead of substance. Regulators struggled to respond because confidence left no paper trail. It cannot be seized, audited, or enforced. The system revealed a brutal symmetry. Confidence magnified success and magnified failure just as efficiently. When belief turned, it did not discriminate. It punished hesitation, association, and even neutrality. Being silent felt dangerous. Speaking felt risky. The city moved in a state of collective anxiety. London was forced to confront a truth it had avoided. Confidence, when treated as currency, creates systemic vulnerability. It binds participants together emotionally as much as financially. And when it breaks everywhere at once. The city now stood at the edge of recalibration. Either confidence would be grounded in something sturdier, or it would continue behaving like the most unstable asset of all. The resolution did not seek to eliminate confidence, but to anchor it. London learned that belief needed structure to remain stable. Reputation alone was not enough. Trust had to be supported by transparency, accountability, and limits on exposure. New practices emerged that tied confidence to verification. Claims required evidence. Endorsements carried responsibility. Access depended not just on perception, but on demonstrated resilience. Confidence regained weight, not as currency, but as signal. Markets adapted. Participants became slower to grant trust, but quicker to withdraw it responsibly. Belief remained central, but it was no longer untethered. The invisible currency matured. London absorbed the lesson deeply. Confidence amplifies systems, but it cannot replace them. When belief outruns reality, collapse follows. When belief is grounded, it strengthens everything around it. The city moved forward wiser. It continued trading in confidence, but with guardrails that prevented it from becoming its own undoing. The invisible currency remained powerful, but it was no longer permitted to operate without accountability. And that accountability, however imperfect, was the difference between a system that amplified prosperity and one that amplified collapse. Subscribe to join the journey.